Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in again. Yada yada, you know the drill. I'm freaking bored. Aren't you bored of all the BS going on around? Mayor, suckish, dude. So I figured that I will do something that I've been meaning to do for a long while now. And have you noticed how tier-lists have become so freaking popular around the internet? Well, I noticed that nobody has ranked IT jobs, of which there are 7 or so many on the industry. So why don't we do exactly that? Let's do exactly that. Let's define the tiers of jobs in your average software shop. Let's go for it. Let's do it. So check this out. So I got 25 different jobs listed up. We will rank them, and I would love to hear your comments in case that you agree or disagree with this. And just for the record, because these times apparently you cannot be careful enough. This doesn't represent any personal statement, or this doesn't represent anything demeaning by itself. All of this is just provided for the sake of entertainment, and it doesn't mean that I have a certain animosity about a certain job. As long as you're out there being productive and contributing to society, that's all that matters, okay? With that being said, let's start ranking tech jobs, because I know that all of you are super curious about it. So, number 1, mobile app developers. Usually, a native app is a lot better than a generic React Native app, by the way. I'm just sorry, not sorry, but the main experience quite matters a whole lot, because the difference is noticeable. The first moment that you scroll up or down on an app and the app starts chugging, it is just noticeable. So I think that I'm gonna give mobile app developers an A rank, because mobile app developers are doing God's work, man. And if you specialize in that domain, more power to you. You know what I mean? Next, backend web developers. Well, backend web developers are also doing God's work, man. They crunch our data so you don't have to. So backend web developers usually implement systems that are a lot more complex than any other thing which you see on the software industry. And also, backend web developers usually really dive really deep into the rabbit hole. So this is gonna be another A rank. These people are the people around on the office, which you sort of manage the paperwork around. Certainly a job which is necessary, like Scrum Masters or anything of the sort. But I mean, I'm not too hot about it, so I'm gonna make it a C tier. Okay, coming up, data entry jobs. Jobs where you are placed in a position where your only duty is to type in stuff into a terminal all day. I actually got started in a data entry job back in the day. We had this old terminal which we had to access remotely through a terminal emulator, and the job was very mind-numbingly boring, but it taught me a lot of things about how to deal with the boredom. The bad thing is that due to its nature, usually you end up in a lot of situations where people are afraid of automating or changing processes because they see it as a threat to their employability. And I think that harboring those kinds of fears is kind of ridiculous. Not to mention that the job is so repetitive. We literally just have to copy and paste things all day into spreadsheets, into terminals, and that was so mind-numbingly boring. So sorry, not sorry. That's an E. That's an E tier. I'm gonna make it an E tier. Alright, carrying on. Network architects. Network architects are the people who actually design and deploy networking infrastructure. Those are people who can show you their bloody knuckles, man. You literally hurt yourself working those jobs, because there's a lot of little cables and little tiny parts to handle. Not to mention that domain knowledge for that is actually really freaking difficult to cultivate. So network architects are gonna get an A from me. I work with a lot of them. I really respect them, and I think that their jobs are definitely something that you're not gonna be able to automate in the foreseeable future. Data scientists are really lucky to have the job that they have, because they get to play around a lot, and they get to do a lot of fun stuff with. In the higher tiers of data science, they get to do a lot of fun data stuff with distributed systems and functional programming. But at the same time, the unfortunate side of it is that data scientists usually are not as good following a strict programming practice as software engineers. You usually end up with code which works, does what they want it to do, but that it doesn't really have good formatting, good practices, good usage of libraries. You end up with a lot of anti-patterns in their code, but they get to results. And that's something that I definitely can appreciate. So data scientists are going to make a B tier for me. Next up, we have the onerous prospect of the database admin. Databases demand quite a lot of dedication, actually, and knowing how to scale, how to shard, how to backup, how to securely administer a database, it is quite demanding, you know. But at the same time, I think that database admins are sort of in a domain where most things are already said and done. So there's no new frontier that you have to break. Of course, there's no SQL databases, there's new database technology coming around. But I think that generally this is kind of an area where the technology that we already have is tried and true, and has been tried and true for the past 40 or so years. Database admins are gonna make a B tier for me. And even more because usually in a lot of software shops, developers actually set up the database themselves and handle the database themselves. So do you really need a specialized person for that? That is the question, right? Carrying on. So we have front-end web developers. The people who provide us with the fantastic and beautiful interfaces which adorn everything that we do on the internet every day. But I can appreciate a good front end, and JavaScript is a good language no matter its reputation. But at the same time, the NPM ecosystem and the mentality that a lot of front-end developers have, as in, well, I only design the UI, I don't design anything in the system. I'm not super hot about it, you know. I mean, again, I can appreciate what a front-end engineer does, but I like it enough, and I've done front-end work too. So let's do a B tier for that. Check this out, the happiness manager. There's a business, there's a software shop which I used to know back in the day, where they actually employed a happiness manager. Basically, somebody who ran the minutiae of the everyday life in the shop. They interview people, they made sure that the cleaning people did their jobs, make sure that everything was running smoothly. They will remember birthdays, they will organize parties, they will organize events, they will foster the internal culture. That is an important job in a way, because if you want to have a healthy software shop, you need to have a healthy internal culture. But at the same time, I cannot avoid but feel that you're just purchasing cakes for people. Let's make it a D tier. I would rather work as that than as a data entry person, though. For what it's worth. Next up, human resources. Well, recruiters are also quite important. I mean, every engineer that you see at some point had to go through a recruiter, right? I used to work a human resources job once. I didn't really like the culture there. So human resources is gonna be a strong D tier, and I don't think that I'm gonna change it from there. Again, it's something that I would rather work as than data entry, which is but at the same time, they definitely have their function. They're definitely important to the delicate balance of an enterprise. So I will not misvalue that. Next up, DevOps engineers. DevOps engineers move the freaking world, man. DevOps engineers handle backend operations and infrastructure operations, and they automate things, and they make sure that everything is running smoothly, and they have application knowledge and networking knowledge and infrastructure knowledge and operating system knowledge, and it's like an specialist of everything. Somebody who will just make for whom things just click. So that's gonna be an S fucking tier for me. DevOps engineers are moving the world. DevOps engineers, I've heard it described as DevOps is you have a set of nerds and a set of nerds, and DevOps are the people who prevent silos from happening. And when you don't have DevOps engineers, the silos fucking form. And I've seen it happening, and I hate it when it happens. So DevOps engineers, that's an S tier, man. That's definitely an S tier. InfoSec analysts are people who specialize on catching every security thing going on the market. They're up to date on the scene, but I cannot avoid but feel as if a lot of them just want a job just to sit down and churn checklists of everything. Everything is a boring checklist of you need to deploy version something because there's a window patch. Experience is something that I really value, so I'm gonna make it a C tier. Weak C tier, probably B, but I don't know. I think let's move it to B. Nah, it's gonna be a C. A good manager is always gonna be freaking awesome. And good managers matter, okay? Just let me go on record saying that. Mission. So, we're gonna make it an F tier. I've run into a lot of cases where managers are just playing politics, and that's kind of heinous. So, yes, we got a good role going on. Marketing people. F tier, I'm sorry. Dear kids. Project managers. Yeah, sorry, that's an F tier again. That's I'm gonna whip this fucking nurse into coding what I want while I walk around with my protein milkshake. Oh. Yeah, usually I don't feel like project managers contribute a lot to, to the whole enterprise, to the whole equation of things. Sorry, not fucking sorry. Next up, product managers. Product managers are actually pretty cool. When you run into a good product manager, somebody who actually gives a fucking damn about the product, about how to sell the product, about how to design the product. So they usually go places, man. They usually get things done, and they usually are really good at making connections. I would place it in a C tier. Sales rep. The people who are selling your stuff, and without whom there wouldn't be any software. But I wouldn't do it. Let's just make it an E tier. Yeah, it usually feels like telemarketing, and I work at a lot of fucking telemarketing jobs. So I'm sick of that. Next up, solutions architects. Solutions architects are very good at doing client-facing work, and there are people that have to make a lot of connections and who also have to be technologically proficient. But at the same time, I kind of avoid but feel that there's a certain part of the equation missing there. So I'm gonna make it a B tier. Software engineers who are generalists and whose responsibilities encompass everything. The proverbial full stack engineer. Somebody who has to work on the database, on the backend, on the front end. They have to test. They have to deploy. They have to automate. They have to script. They have to monitor. They have to do ops. And I'm not biased here, or at least I hope to not be biased. But they have to be an S tier for me. They work really long hours, man. So, carrying on. Software architects, the people who design the specs for a system and who tell everyone else where we're gonna be headed. It is indeed a pretty cool job, but most software architects are just jaded programmers who don't want to code anymore. So that's a C tier. Sysadmins, the people who love Linux. It is not as easy to become a sysadmin. It can only come after really deep experience in the field. So that's an S tier. And they also put in a lot of fucking hours. And they also wake up in the middle of the night. Alright, so system analysts. System analysts are usually jobs more related to documentation, to just understanding the needs and wants of stakeholders and getting them down in a specification so other people can code it. It is an important job, let me tell you that. Because if you don't understand the problem, right, your developers are gonna end up coding shit. Oh, that's a D tier. That's a D tier. Again, it matters. It matters a whole bunch. But it's usually something where your relationship with the job just ends after you get the document out. Tech support. Tech support people bear with a lot of bullshit, with more bullshit than you could ever imagine. And they do need a lot of people's skills to keep things in order and to handle situations. But I don't think that I would do it as a day job. But they have good skills. Weak E rank, potentially a D rank, but I don't know. Testers. F tier. Yeah, sorry. A good tester is gonna find things which the developers missed. So yeah, but usually it's a job which is really you don't have to put in a lot of hours into that kind of job. So I'm gonna keep it as an F tier. And a tech writer. Tech writers, thank you for being there to stand in for the developers who don't want to get the documentation done. But again, a software engineer, as in a full stack, will actually have to maintain their own documentation. But your job still matters. So I'm gonna make this a D tier. That's the way the cookie crumbles. So what do you think about my ranking? I hope that you had fun listening to me ramble about jobs in the tech industry. I've worn a lot of hats in the tech industry, and I've been in a lot of jobs where basically you have to do everything, actually, to keep things running. Hopefully, at least this got a chuckle out of you. Let me know what's your opinion. Let me know if you would rather classify something as another rank, and I'll see you in the next one.